Welcome to Championship Monday, Black Monday, or Mid-Season Review Monday.
You are Locked On Virginia, your daily podcast on the Virginia Cavaliers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good day, viewers and listeners. I am your host, Big Lawrence Johnson, and welcome to Locked On Virginia Cavaliers podcast, your first place to come to get your Wahoo Fix every day as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's date is 1/9/2023, and as I said before, this is could be Black Monday, it could be Championship Monday, or Mid-Season Review Monday if you're talking about the Wahoo's basketball team. But before I get there, let me give you our title sponsor. Title sponsor today is LinkedIn Jobs. Helps you find the qualified candidate you want to talk to faster. Post your jobs for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Conditions and terms apply. So yes, everyone. Let me give you the reasons why. We're talking about it's Championship Monday. Of course, if you've been under a rock, and you haven't come out yet, this is Championship Monday because the University of Georgia will play the TCU Horned Frogs tonight. Of course, it's always that late kickoff. I want to say it's at 8:20, and then it gets into like 9 o'clock, and you're in the first quarter still, so it's one of those late championship games. We come to find out what Georgia is really made of, what TCU is probably really made of, more importantly. So yeah, we definitely are thinking, what's gonna happen tonight. Of course, TCU stunning, their previous team that they played Michigan, and I didn't have that. Only people who may have had that, were the people in Texas. But outside of that, the entire world, I think, had Michigan beating TCU and probably beating them handedly. But it's also Black Monday because this is where you get a lot of changes in coaches in the NFL. The Monday after the last game of the year. But for us, this is mid-season review Monday. So we're pretty much halfway through the basketball season when we're talking about our Cavaliers. This will also serve as a little bit of a post-game review wrap-up of the Syracuse game. And it's kind of telling, but then again, it also makes you backstep and think, is this the same team that I've been looking at for the past 3 or 4 games? Because this team feels like the team that was in the beginning of the season when we started everything, and the optimism it gave the fans, as far as what this team could possibly be. So just to give you the review of the game against Syracuse the other day, they beat Syracuse 73-66, and the game wasn't that tight based off of the score. UVA was up by 20 plus points during the game, and Syracuse 10-5 had played some good basketball. They were tough, throughout their season, but Virginia just came out blazing. Shooting 3-pointers, and from a variety of people. I got to give Amon Franklin, as critical as I can be of Amon Franklin, to have Amon Franklin come out and shoot the lights out. I believe he started 4 for 4, scoring, and 3 for 3 from deep. So that alone, gives the team more confidence whenever he's shooting, and it also just gives the team more room. For more room for mistakes, which they made some towards the end of the game. But when your shooter is making shots like that, it changes everything. Not to mention also his backup who comes in, Isaac McNeely, came in, shot the lights out as well. Had 3 3-pointers in the first half. I and him being a true freshman, the future is so bright with him. He has such a quick trigger, and he has deep range. For a combo guard as well. But if you give him a look, he will make it and knock down those shots. His shot looks the best to me out of all the shooters on the University of Virginia squad. His shot just looks the most steady to me. So Isaac McNeely, could have kind of been his coming out party as well, because he wound up making 4 3-pointers over the game, and he looked really good in doing it. I would be remiss if I did not mention Tony Bennett passing Terry Holland for most wins as a University of Virginia basketball coach with 327. Now, if you guys know anything about the University of Virginia basketball, University of Virginia basketball has always, before Coach Bennett, Terry Holland was Mr. Everything. Of course, he coached the most dominant player in Virginia history, which was Ralph Sampson, and still is the most dominant player in Virginia history. And, he just had a lot of, just had a great player, to help spearhead his, his coaching run. And then, after his successful coaching run, he wound up becoming the AD, and he was the athletic director. So that also kind of jumped off him into a successful run as a athletic director. And whenever you have these kind of milestones go down, they're kind of bittersweet, because you always really love the coach and AD of Terry Holland. His wife was in attendance as well, and but you also got to respect the fact that Tony Bennett, who put those numbers up in a shorter period of time. Let's not forget that Tony Bennett, also just a classy man, gave an incredible speech after the game and just spoke of the chant or the award, or the, not necessarily the award, but the milestone of winning 327 games at Virginia. He said it is a group effort. It is a kind of an award for us, or a milestone for us, meaning his staff, the supporters, the fans, the school. He's just classy from a coach who earns a bonus, right? Who earns a bonus, or he was, stories are that he's split the money up. In order to keep his staff together, he splits the money up with his assistants. Some of the milestones that he hits in his contracts, or when they win a certain amount, and maybe certain benefits come with that as far as bonuses, he has that split up, with some of his coaches. Absolutely incredible to keep his coaches around. Absolutely incredible. And Coach Bennett, the man, is the reason why this team and this coaching staff has been this successful this long. A small business owner or hiring manager, that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates most effectively by matching open roles with people who have the skills and values and experience to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools. They go beyond the resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications on all one platform. And of course, 2023, it's a new year. You always want to achieve your goals. And achieving goals, of course, if you have a focus on hiring more qualified candidates, as business starts to pick back up, you always want to get the proper people in place to help your company run smoother. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs the number one company delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. Locked on LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com locked on college. That's linkedin.com/locked on college to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you for making Locked On Virginia your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Please, plus hear from big name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. So yeah, everyone. Reviewing the University of Virginia's basketball win over Syracuse. And, of course, Syracuse, always tough, tough, tough. Coach Boeheim, they run that 2-3 zone. Probably one of the, not even one of, it's not probably, it is. They're one of the top teams that run that 2-3 zone. They know how to run it, they know how to coach it. But I got to give you this. How about Coach Bennett's team? Seems like they really know how to dissect that 2-3 zone. I got to give a shout out to our guy, Jaden Gardner. Jaden Gardner wound up having his 1,000th rebound. So that makes him the only college player in college basketball right now with 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. And that list is a very impressive, impressive list. You think about think of the names of like Tim Duncan, are on that list. So he's the only one right now in college basketball with that accolade. And shout out to Jaden Gardner, who, what do you call him? The mid-range assassin. Kind of reminds me of David West. He can shoot that little mid-range shot. Being kind of an undersized power forward to draw some of those guys out and get to the bucket as well. With some of his fakes. But Jaden Gardner, great job. He's become a really good player in ACC play. Was third team All ACC last year, and coming in and just continue on his role. With this program. Shout out to Jaden Gardner. But that 2-3 zone that Syracuse runs can be a menace because they just have so many athletic players, big, tall, long, athletic players that really make you shoot over the top, which is why shooting threes is not the only thing that you have to do, but it's part of what you have to do to beat this team. If you don't make threes, this team is going to beat you. And University of Virginia had one of their best shooting performances of the year. I will give you this. They were, what were they? They were 12 for 26 from 3-point range, in this game, which says a lot, which is 46%, almost 50%, shooting threes from the field. They shot better from three than they did from two. They were 43% shooters, from the 2-point range, but from three, 46%. Absolutely amazing to watch this team bomb. Now, I want to say we had Amon Franklin make multiple threes, 4 3-pointers. We had uh, Isaac McNeely shoot and make 4 3-pointers. Excuse me. Amon made 3. McNeely made 4. You had Ben Vanderplas make 2 3-pointers. Another player who has range, and when he's on, just makes it so difficult, to deal with him, when he's shooting at the rate that he can shoot. Great job for Ben Vanderplas putting in a couple threes. Then, of course, you had Reese Beekman make a 3. Also, one thing I really love about Reese Beekman, this year is his confidence in shooting the outside shot as well. If you got an opportunity and if you watched this game, rewatch the game, watch how Reese Beekman, not just the threes, but just his mid-range pull-up game. When he's in the half-court set, he looks phenomenal. And you can see him starting to get more confidence, in his legs, in particular his hamstring that has been injured for the last 7 games. So now that Reese is starting to get a little healthier, you're starting to see some of his offense start to come back alive. But the other story is, even though we're talking about all the guys shooting threes, the team, in all making 12 3-pointers. How about the assist? And when this team is assisting the way that they are, they're almost impossible to beat, especially when you combine the way that they play defense. Their defense is back. They play great defense, but you also have to kind of figure, Syracuse was going to make a run because UVA had them beat by 10 points to 20 points the entire game. It only got under 10 points when they started pressing with a few minutes left. And shout out and hats off to Syracuse for making it that close of a game at the end there. But really, it was more of a just UVA just as per usual has a little bit of trouble, with the press. They and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just when they press Kihei, sometimes they can force him into making mistakes. And some other UVA point guards as well. Maybe Reese may have some mistakes, or some of the ball handlers, having just trouble when they're in the press. But typically, that's what you get. And it's not. Virginia is not immune to making mistakes whenever you're pressed. Also, shout out, they got a point guard coming in from Georgetown. So as they have this point guard coming in from Georgetown, maybe he can, give a little support next year. And he's really pegged as a Kihei replacement. Now, we're going to miss a lot of these players next year. So this year has to be a go-for-it year from Coach Bennett, because he loses his little general, Kihei. He loses Amon Franklin. He loses Jaden Gardner. He loses Poppy Cafaro. He's gonna have to do some rebuilding, and I know he will. Maybe he hits the transfer portal. But the point guard coming in, he's gonna need that guy, and he will have him. So, but the story of the game is the assist by Kihei Clark and Reese Beekman. Kihei had 11 assists, guys. That is an absolutely enormous number. He's between him and Reese, they're always at the top of the ACC when it comes to distributing the ball, and that's really amazing from the fact that this team typically does not fast break. And I do have some information on the fast break. Of course, if you guys have listened to me, you know how I feel about the fast break and this team. If there's anything that I can complain about or anything that I have a suggestion about, it's about the fast break. But before we get into that, let's just keep talking about the assist game. So Key Hayes has 11 and Reese has 7 assists in this game. Those are your two ball handlers slash point guards. Because when Key Hayes out, Reese takes they actually kind of flip flop the duties based off of the sets that they're going to run. Because Kihei will definitely distribute the ball, and when they were penetrating that zone and Kihei was playing, it was odd because typically in the high post you have a big man at the high post and he's distributing, but you put the shortest man on the court at the high post, and he just does a great job of distributing the ball, whether it's back out to the wings or down low to try to get an easy shot for those guys. But your best passer in that position, and he just makes things happen. Shout out to Reese, like I said, also with those 7 assists, in transition. And that is something that, for me, that I was really, really happy to see. BetOnline.net is your number one source for college betting info, stats, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to college football season to basketball and World Cup. We've got it all for you at BetOnline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today to use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. So yes, everyone, as we continue, with this mid-season review, we're just talking about the assist total for this game and moving forward, what we need to see from these guys being able to assist. Of course, playing that 2-3 zone, they know how to dissect this team, and that was a great job. A lot of assists put up by your 2 point guards, but the real thing for me, was the fast break points that really resonated with me was watching this team when they got a chance to run, they ran the ball, and they got easier buckets. They got open shots from 3. At halftime, they were 7 for 13 from deep, and playing a team that runs at 2-3, they really bog you down. They really make you run an offense. They really slow you down. So if you get an opportunity to run on them before they get their 2-3 set, you should, which is my argument with the team and has always been since day one. Thank goodness they were shooting their 3-pointers. But there have been just some terrible droughts. And they had a drought today. They did. For that game, they did have a drought of scoring any points. But the 3-pointer did save the day. They got it up enough points where, they were able to survive, I guess is the word that we're going to use here, or get by and win the game without scoring consistently with the 2-point shot. But they did their job on the defensive end to make Syracuse inept at certain times when scoring, but they can't get into a lull themselves and not score points consistently. That will do you in come tournament time, and you get one of these teams or with these, they get a couple of these players who are just hot and are making 3-pointers, and there's nothing you can do. You got to keep making shots. And they're working their way through it this year, and we'll be able to see how well this team does come tournament time. But, like I said, they were 7 for 13 from deep, wound up being 12 for 26. And, the team is still gelling, is still building. I'm not sure, exactly what this team is. They are looking like a team that can win the ACC and the ACC tournament, they just can't slow down and have these lulls that they've had lately. So, shout out to Coach Bennett for becoming the all-time leader in wins for the University of Virginia at 327. Shout out to Jaden Gardner, 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds. And it's mid-season. Also, be on the lookout for my colleague Jackie Franchuli. I'm trying to get her to see if we can do a recruiting review, kind of like where the team sits now going into the spring season. I know that recruiting has kind of wound down now, even though Virginia did have someone flip away from them, Dejon Parker, who was the one lineman they had out of the transfer portal. He flipped and went to Iowa. And you know what? You really can't get upset with the young man. I know people are kind of jumping on him because, he had a commitment and he flipped, in the middle of the season. But you think about it like this, his statement was they don't even have an offensive line coach, which is another storyline for the football program that we'll have to talk about pretty soon here, possibly in the next episode, or or talk about it this week when we speak to Jackie. But yeah, we're talking about not having a offensive line coach. What gives? There are some things behind the scenes that are going on that I can't report on, but I'm thinking, they got to get somebody in place here right now, because if you're losing one of your top recruits from the transfer portal, and no less to Iowa. Iowa is known, with Coach Ferentz, is known to be, the top, offensive line coach in college football. So that was a great move for Dejon Parker, to go there. So great for him, but bad for the Wahoos. But they got to figure something out. They got to if they want to continue to try to recruit the big boys, the linemen, they have to get a coach in place. And this is a true statement. Why would you go to a place where they don't even have your leader in place? They don't even have your offensive line coach in place? I don't know, but the life and times of a University of Virginia reporter and fan. Always reporting, never, ever, ever. It's never, ever, ever a situation where there's not information going on, or it's never not entertaining. Thank you for making Locked On Virginia your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear the big name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, everybody, for making Locked On Virginia your first listen today. I'll see you tomorrow.